Any persons wishing to speak, please fill out a speaker card.
Just a reminder, if you haven't filled out a card, please get them to me for the recording secretary. Again, it's not for my benefit, it's for Suzanne's, so.
Dr. Moldy.
Mr. Chairman, Don Moldy-Reno, three quick things. First, let me congratulate Governor Sandoval for his appointment of Dr. Lane to this commission. I'm very happy to see her here, and we'll certainly try to help her any way I can. The second thing is to tell you something remarkable that happened last night here in Reno that I didn't see in the newspaper today. At the Science and Math Center at UNR last night, Doug Smith, who is the Yellowstone Wolf Reintroduction Coordinator for the past many years and is actually a UNR graduate, gave a presentation to about 500 people at the center. It's a huge auditorium. The place was jammed. There wasn't an empty seat anywhere. And the audience was fascinated by his presentation of the Yellowstone Wolf Project, some outstanding photography, video clips, demonstrations of how they go about their work, some discussion of the current issues going on in and around the park, and a very sensible kind of questioning from the audience that went on for some time after the presentation. To get 500 people out during the holidays on a Thursday night to hear a presentation on the wolf got me thinking back to Director Mayer's comment here a year or so ago when we were talking about the wolf issue and whether it should be unclassified, and his emphatic comment that I can't remember if you used your Italian gestures or not, but at any rate, that we would never have wolves in this state. And I was thinking, looking over this 500 person crowd, that boy, he sure as hell wasn't talking about them. That's for sure. They were quite interested in the wolf. Let me tell you, it was quite a sight. And one or two of your staff were there, so they can confirm my opinion if you like. And the third thing, that's a Rick Perry joke. I've done that once before. Anyway, the third thing was that as of this week, this is a little public service announcement. I mentioned it at the Clark County CAB. As of this week, the BLM has decided that these so-called varmint hunting or coyote killing contests that have sprung up and have sort of been under the radar a little bit.
30 seconds.
These contests now require a BLM permit. And the BLM permit requires some NEPA analysis and public comment. And without that permit, they're out of business. None of them have that now, so they're all out of business. Just for your information. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Dr. Lynn.
And two things. I was going to talk. I was a member of the Heritage Committee, and on the Heritage Committee, it says very explicitly that you must submit a report within 90 days. And so I would like to get you as chairman to make sure we got a report. We spent a lot of money, and I voted for it, on this genetic study at the University of Nevada. We spent a lot of money on it, so you as chairman should make sure we get a report on it. And if this report on this Maxim, if we don't get that, Patrick Cates said it wasn't on the final report, whatever Chairman Rain read. I want to see that. I want to see the whole report. We paid good money for it, and all you got was a piece of paper that had the original application on it, and that's bogus. I want to see the original report on the heritage, the genetics, because that's very valuable data. I was very interested. That's why I voted for it. And you have nothing on it. And it says in there you must produce a report because we paid them a lot of money. The second thing I wanted to say was on the Cox presentation on the modeling here. He said percent of the harvest that is 4 point or better is used to measure hunter success. Well, we got a problem because if you look at the 4 points or better with the hunter report cards, it's the same. And I was on the record book for over 25 years, and the record book, we have certified measures on there, and it goes up and down, up and down. It's not the same. So what this tells me, the hunters exaggerate their experience. A lot of hunters say I shot a 4-point and they didn't. And so I think there's a lot of error in the hunter report cards. I think you better do some kind of an audit there, because if you look at the 4 points, it's pretty steady, but the record book is not very steady. And I think that it's an exaggeration that hunters tend to do it. On the record book, I talked to a couple of people and they just laughed. They said hunters absolutely exaggerate on whether they shot one or they shot a forked horn. They say it's a 4-point. And so we're using that data, and that's really critical, because it's some of the literature says hunter report cards, the error can be as high as 40%. And that's a major problem, because that type of sampling error can have devastating consequences with the model system.
30 seconds.
And the bottom line, I think that you need to do a sampling of return cards, and as a commission, need to demand an audit of the deer model by peer review. And unless you do, by 2035 to 2036, there'll be no huntable mule deer left in this state. And under the last commission, Commission Vess-Rain, you will be your legacy will be the elimination of mule deer as a huntable species. And under our commission, when I was on the commission, we're the only commission that went on record to demand scientific review of mule deer population dynamics. And remember, science is only science
3 minutes.
when it's been peer reviewed. And this deer model has not been peer reviewed. And I think that's one of the best things to do. Otherwise, you're going to have a legacy of destroying the deer as a huntable species.
I have comments, but I'll keep them. Anybody else?
I've got one when he's done.
Just a point of information, I've been attending the working group meetings for the bi-state. Their next meeting is going to be on March 18th at Smith Valley Library. And they're going to ask U.S. Wildlife Service, and they're not sure whether the local people can do this, but they need somebody to come in and explain to them, if the bird gets listed, what impact does it have on the policies that they normally follow to do their work. So if you're interested, they may be interested in meeting. Oh, by the way, there are 3 more easements in the pipeline. They just need Congress to pass the Farm Bill.
Okay. Anybody else have anything?
I've got something. If the public's done.
Commissioner Rain?
Could I
Would you prefer me to go
Just
up
a-
there or
just
sit
a
down
point
here?
of order, yeah. If a commissioner is going to address this board during this portion of the agenda, do they need to excuse themselves and speak as a public member, or?
No, you just need to, you're going to speak in your personal capacity. You don't have to physically move. You just need to state for the record that you're speaking as an individual, or you're speaking, I don't know, whatever capacity you believe you're speaking in.
Thank you.
What he said. Yes, sir. Speaking in a project of a concerned citizen as to the disposition of funding, I find it troubling that we would have actually paid for someone, not to throw out Max Elks, I brought that one up to begin with, and not have had the database, and yet we say we have the database, but we don't have the database, and actually this isn't the whole database, this database goes along with this, is the report that goes along with the database. There's a database that went along with this in the same deal. And it was just because I looked up the wording and found it from these reports, and you looked it up, and I looked up and kept finding, finally found a few links, just doing global searches, and it's available. But if we wouldn't have had it, so you say we didn't have it, but we paid for it? Whoa, how could we possibly have paid for all this stuff that he did deliver, and it's there, if we didn't know we had it? Everybody else, when we're talking about the Alliance for Wildlife, when you're talking about the Fraternity of the Bighorn, any of these other guys, hey, if they don't hand in the amount of money they've got, I mean, here's the bill from Wildlife Services, you wouldn't have, I'm hoping we wouldn't have paid Nevada Alliance for Wildlife if they hadn't handed in a bill for that, and they hadn't handed in a final, this is what they did. So it's troubling to me. What else is there out there? What other studies are there? And there's one more I noticed. There's Kelly Creek. I was told that was done by the proponent. Got that earlier, and he's got it on the ground. It's not in here. At least I don't see it. Thank you.
Anybody else have any public comment?
We can sum up with.
Patrick Cates for the record. Just to give you an update about the move that Director Mayer referred to earlier. We have a state public works project scheduled for this building to do some renovations. They're going to upgrade the electrical system and install fire sprinklers, and we're going to put in some new flooring and paint and that sort of thing. So all of the headquarters staff will be vacating around, I think it's the 7th of January, to our Kitsky offices into leased space during the duration of that project. It's expected to last up to 6 months. We're hoping it's going to be less than that. During that time, this building will be, this room will be unavailable for commission meetings. We're actually going to use part of this room for the customer service counter during that time. They won't be doing any work in this room. I mean, everything in here is pretty new except for fire sprinklers. They will be installing some fire sprinklers. Most of the public side of the building is relatively new. All they'll be doing is fire sprinklers, and we're going to do some new flooring and paint. The flooring's in pretty bad shape out there. But the old part of the building's in quite a bit worse shape. It needs new wiring and a lot of those types of upgrades. So we'll be a little bit out of sorts for a while, and this room won't be available for that period of time.
The telephone numbers and emails, all that would be the same.
Yeah, all of our telephone numbers and our emails, that'll all be forwarded over to the Kitsky office. So in terms of contacting us that way, nothing will change. But headquarters staff won't physically be here until next summer. That's it.
Okay, anybody else have anything? Seeing none, we'll recess till 8 a.m. tomorrow morning.